I think there's something out there for everybody at Rhodes, so just finding a community that really speaks to you and throwing yourself in full throttle will be really beneficial to anybody.
I thought, with a small school, there would be a lot fewer options of things to get involved with, but Rhodes has an immense amount of opportunities in every aspect of thing you could possibly want to do.
It's not something I really expected because I came here for a lot of the academic reasons, and I really hope that the social scene would be just as lively, and it definitely is. Going to cookout runs late at night, hanging around, and just kind of exploring campus the first 2 years, it's fantastic. I'd say the social scene is probably what makes Rhodes the best it can be.
So whether that's Greek life or a religious organization or some sort of honor society, I think it's just great to kind of pour into one of those. And for me, that ended up being RUF.
I've been able to volunteer in the city. I've been able to, participate in social justice work and advocacy that's meaningful to me. So in general, it's nice being a part of a community that shares the same values, but also works at, proving those values.
I actually joined ASA as a first year. It was really nice to connect to peers who could kind of relate to the same upbringing that I've had with immigrant parents. And so it was really cool and really interesting to meet different students who can relate to that.
I would say open yourself up because there's a lot of opportunities here at Rhodes like you wouldn't have had in high school or before. So I would just say put yourself out there.
Say, as an incoming student, if you're not a student athlete and you still want to be able to play recreationally and keep fit, squash club's a great way in order to do that.
Yeah, staying fit, learning a new skill. It's fun to kind of dive into a new community of sport.
At the sporting events, I get to see all kinds of people, alumni and just students, past and present. So I've really enjoyed doing that. It's really immersed me into the community.
Definitely get involved and reach out. I'd say, Rhodes being a liberal arts school, coming here and meeting so many wonderful people, there are people of very many different backgrounds.
I'm an international student, so it helped me meet a lot of American students and then it helped me introduce some of my own friends into the sport, so it was a really good time.
I feel like since joining these organizations, I've personally grown when it comes down to being able to communicate with others and actually put together plans that are pragmatic and that can be implemented on campus.
It's definitely helped me work with various groups of people from various backgrounds, and it's also helped me really discover who I am as a leader.
This is a fresh new start for you, and you can build your reputation to be whatever you want. So don't get hung up on whatever you were in high school. Just go for it and be yourself.
And it's such like a hardworking, intelligent, welcoming group of people that I never felt like I was being left out. I always felt like I had a support system.
Make friends in my community, establish a really strong community built on similar experiences and like-mindedness that has just absolutely transformed my experience.
To incoming students, I would definitely say don't be afraid to speak up and branch out of your shell. Do things that you may be interested in that you may have never embraced before, because the people here at Rhodes are very friendly, and I promise they will embrace you with open arms.
Reach out to upperclassmen you meet, like PA leaders, Open Rhodes people. Just send an email. I think reaching out to those people is particularly important because they'll get you involved. They'll tell you what to do. They'll give you advice. So that was huge, I think, for me. That's my biggest piece of advice, for sure.
There's a wide range of organizations here at Rhodes, and so I think the first piece of advice I would give is just to be open-minded to exploring all of those. And once you find one that you really, really like, kind of sit back and think about what skills and talents you possess and how you could enhance those organizations.
So I came to Rhodes as a swimmer, a freshman on the swim team, and I had a passion for water polo, but we did not have a water polo club, so I decided to start one. And that was really cool, the whole process. Kind of taught me how to be a leader and start a whole team and meet new people.
Honor societies provide a way to meet people who are in your major or studying the same thing as you and have also achieved high things academically, and you get to do social and service events organized around that. So I think that's been really fun.
I've been able to be a member and a leader of Awesome and interact with other Black women, Africana women who share the same experience as me, and we're able to have a safe space here at Rhodes and talk about our similar experiences that we share as Black women.
Even if you don't know what you want to get involved with, just take a chance on anything, get involved. Every kind of club and community I've interacted with has been incredibly supportive, and that's what makes Rhodes Rhodes.
All right, welcome guys to Crossroads. We're so thrilled you're here tonight. This is a program to introduce you to some of the multicultural experiences that we have on campus. You just got to see a video that previews some of our really diverse and vibrant student life here on campus. And we're going to dive more into that tonight. So we're excited to get to share that with you. You are joined by your peers, or who might be your future peers at Rhodes from across the country. Tonight, I know that some of you actually have already decided and made a commitment to come to Rhodes next year, and we are thrilled about that. But I also know that many more of you are still making your decision, and we hope that this program will bring you one step closer to figuring that out. We are also joined here tonight with Dr. Sherry Turner, who's going to kick off our program. Dr. Turner is actually an alumna of Rhodes College and just recently returned to us a few years ago. But prior to that time, she has been all over the place, offering her leadership and direction to places like Spelman, the AUC, and many others. So we are so grateful to have her back with us at Rhodes and for her to be here tonight for our program. Oh, I think we're muted. There we go.
Hi, everybody. As Allie said, I'm Sherry Turner. I'm the Vice President for Strategic Initiatives here at Rhodes and also the Chief Diversity Officer. And more importantly than that, I am a proud graduate of the class of 1984. I'm a Rhodes graduate. I actually tell people that I'm proud to have graduated at that time because I actually have 2 degrees from Rhodes. I have one that says Southwestern at Memphis, which was its former name. And then I have another one that says Rhodes College. My class has the distinction of being the last class to graduate with the term or the name Southwestern at Memphis. As Ali mentioned, I'm also really excited about having the opportunity to be back at Rhodes, to serve an institution that I love. In my role, one of the things that I really celebrate and applaud is the ability to think with my colleagues and other leaders and administrators and faculty members and students to think about the Rhodes that is, but also to think about the Rhodes that we want. As we look into the future, we've been thinking about all of the wonderful things that we would like to accomplish. And in my role, I have the opportunity to help to shape that future and to also help to think about how do we continue to ensure that Rhodes is an incredible institution that will serve students and help to cultivate leadership and academics and excellence. As Chief Diversity Officer, I also have the pleasure of being able to help to make sure that Rhodes is a place that is welcoming, that is open, that is affirming, and that is a warm place for students who come from a broad range of diverse backgrounds to be. And so it's my pleasure again to just welcome you. We are honored because we know that you are students who have already demonstrated that you're academically gifted. You are students who have already demonstrated leadership and engagement. And quite frankly, we know that you are students who have lots of choices. And we're very honored because you are considering Rhodes and you have an opportunity to think about how we at Rhodes can be a part of your future as well. I'm really excited because Rhodes is a place that not only enrolls students, but it's a place that makes promises to our students. Recently, as we have been talking about who we are and having conversations about the wonderful things that Rhodes has to offer, we've made a number of commitments. One is to make sure that all of our students who are here are intellectually ready. I'm very proud, and you will see that Rhodes has some phenomenal faculty members, phenomenal courses, phenomenal academic offerings that we're quite ready to have you participate in. We have faculty members who are committed to working with students, committed to engaging them, not just in the classroom, but in experiences that incorporate research and service as well. Another promise that we make to all of our students at Rhodes is that we ensure that students are leadership ready. You are already great leaders. You've already demonstrated excellence in that area, as I've mentioned before. And one of the things that Rhodes does is to ensure that all of our students have opportunities to lead and to grow. Those experiences might be here on campus, but they might also be in the city of Memphis or throughout the world. We're very proud of the work that our students have shown and of their engagement at Memphis and on campus. And that is an experience that we know that you would appreciate in your time here. And then the third promise that we make is that you would be ready to pursue whatever career or graduate opportunity that you would like. Thinking about your future is something that I'm sure that you're all doing a lot of. As a student at Rhodes, you'll continue to have opportunities to think about your future. And Rhodes takes great pride in being able to make sure that you're ready to pursue whatever your aspirations are once you leave the gates of Rhodes. I know too that many of you are interested in a community that is rich and diverse. We know that you've just seen a wonderful video where students have talked about opportunities for Rhodes to provide an inclusive environment. I'm very happy that our colleagues and our students and all of us have been working very strategically to make sure that Rhodes is a place where all of our students are taking advantage of an experience that is really inclusive and welcoming too. So I want to wish you well as you are engaging in your college search. We certainly hope that you would choose Rhodes, but more importantly, we hope that you choose a place that is ideal for you. Rhodes will offer lots of opportunities. And we hope that you take advantage of all of them. And we wish you the very best in your search. And again, we hope that you enjoy this opportunity to get to know a little bit more about Rhodes and all of the things that we have to offer. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Turner, for that. Always a pleasure. Okay, folks, so for the rest of our program tonight, you will have the opportunity to hear from Rhodes faculty, staff, and students in a panel format. I want to encourage you to take advantage of this time and use the Q&A function that's at the bottom of your screen in the center. You can submit your questions there, and we will try to answer them live. If we're not able to get to them throughout the program tonight, we'll make sure that someone follows up with you to address your question. So please make sure that you take advantage of that. We're going to transition now to a video, and then after that, you'll hear from our faculty and student life panel. So stay with us.
I'm Cody Stockton. I'm a history major at Rhodes, and I play football here. While at Rhodes, I've had the opportunity to intern at First Tennessee Bank, do a research fellowship at the National Civil Rights Museum. I've been able to be a peer mentor all 4 years here, and not only that, but all while being a student athlete. We're here to play football because we love to play football, but it's not just football here, and that's the really cool experience about being at Rhodes. We're all working toward really preparing ourselves for our career. At Rhodes, a lot of the professors will point you to opportunities. The first internship opportunity I did was a research fellowship with the Civil Rights Museum. I ended up working as really kind of an archival research fellow. When I worked at First Tennessee Bank, it was really interesting because I never thought I'd see myself at a bank working in financial services as a history major. It really, showed me the value of a liberal arts education. I had a crazy idea. I wanted to study abroad. I wanted to go somewhere that was really different. Somewhere where I could connect what I was learning in the classroom to real life. And so I applied for the Buckman Fellowship. I got that fellowship, and then that paid pretty much for all of my study abroad experience. And then next thing you know, in January, I was on a plane to Havana, Cuba, and once I got there, it was a lot of challenges, but at the same time, it was one of the coolest experiences I've ever had in my life. Rhodes especially helps you figure out how to tailor your interests to your own passions and personal pursuits. And so I can check all these boxes off of things I've done at Rhodes and I never thought I'd do.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Megan Starling. I am the Director of Admission at Rhodes and a proud alumna, and it is my privilege to join you this evening and to introduce our fabulous panelists of student life, staff, and faculty to share more with you about the academic experience, what it's like to learn at Rhodes College. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm gonna turn it over to our guests to introduce themselves. Dr. Stokes, will you begin?
Hello, welcome to Rhodes. I am Jamia Stokes. I am the Associate Dean of Students here at Rhodes. I've been here for 4 academic years, and in my role, I help connect students to resources, whether it be academic resources or campus resources. I help them navigate the college and connect them with the appropriate offices as they begin their journey as a Rhodes student, and we see them through to graduation. Glad to have you here tonight.
Hi, I'm Shauna Stoddard. I'm in the chemistry department. I'm an assistant professor of chemistry here. I've been here since 2015. I do a little bit of work here, well, not a little bit of work, but I do a lot of research here as well. In my lab, we research different therapies for autoimmune disease, cancer therapeutics, and neurological disorders. And I teach chemistry classes, the introductory level classes, and I also teach biochemistry, so some of the upper level classes. I'm in both in chemistry and the B&B program.
My name is Keith Gibson, and I am a professor of political science, and I'm also in the urban studies program. I've been at Rhodes College for 7 years, and let's see, what do? I research, I teach, I'm an advisor, I help students find their passion and passions. That's one of my main goals, from freshmen all the way connected to grad school or medical school or law school, helping folks find what makes them sing and what makes their heart kind of purr. And that's kind of how I see my role here. I love it here, and I would love to share why I love it at Rhodes College and what it's like to be a student here. So I look forward to our conversation.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jiankai Chen. I'm an associate professor of international studies department. I have been here since 2013, and I'm originally from Taiwan. And I am teaching and doing research about the comparative politics and international relations in East Asia. And recently, I focus more on China's foreign relations in the context of the so-called rise of China. So I'm very happy to be here sharing with you my experiences at Rhodes.
Well, thank you, everybody, for your introduction. Students, I hope you noticed a few themes here. We talked about teaching, we talked about mentoring, everyone introduced themselves as doing research. There's lots to cover here to inform you about what your academic experience could include at Rhodes. So we want this to be a conversation with you. We realize you can see us, we can't see you, but we would love for you to type questions in the Q&A. And my role is to learn from these panelists along with you and address your questions to our guests so that we can make sure your questions are answered here live tonight. So please be thinking about any question that comes to mind related to learning at Rhodes, choosing classes, what the classroom experience is like, your major, connecting your major beyond the classroom, research. These are just a few things that come to my mind, but you might have other questions, and that's what we're here That's what we're here for tonight. So while y'all are thinking of those questions and putting them in the Q&A, Dr. Stokes, let's start with you. We don't ask students to declare a major until spring of their sophomore year. So they've taken 3 full semesters and another half semester of courses. But for our students listening tonight that are going to be coming into Rhodes and starting to choose classes initially, how do we help them get started? Because not everybody knows what their major is going to be yet. So what's the first step?
Great. Well, it's great that we don't force you to choose your major in your first year, because that causes a lot of anxiety for students when they feel like they have to know exactly what they want to do when they start college. And so the purpose of coming to a liberal arts college is to learn about a lot of different subject areas, to really discover more about the arts, about history, about literature, and about science all at the same time. And so in your first year, when you first arrive at Rhodes, when you come to your summer orientation program, you will learn about our liberal arts curriculum and our foundations curriculum. That's kind of the general courses that every student has to choose from, regardless of what they choose to major in. And so we'll help you get set up with understanding our liberal arts curriculum and the foundations requirements. You'll learn about our Search and Life program, and that'll be where you start to explore different courses of interest. You will then be assigned to a liberal arts advisor who will see you through your first year and partway through your second year, who will help guide you through thinking through courses, course selection, the process of exploring different majors and careers, research opportunities, internship opportunities. And then our hope is that by the time you reach second semester of sophomore year, you've built a relationship with a faculty member whom you'd like to select as your advisor, and then you'll go through the process of declaring your major. So we are here to walk you every step of the way. And the great thing about our process is often you build relationships with different advisors throughout your time period. And so you'll have a relationship with a person that you met at Open Rhodes who might become your liberal arts advisor, and then you can maintain that relationship as you move through your major. So it's more opportunity for connection. Anyone want to add anything else?
So I'll jump in. I'm an advisor as well as a professor. We start early. I ask lots of questions about what about you, what you like, what you enjoy, which classes you've enjoyed, what's your background, what types of things do you want to grow into, right? So I ask lots of questions. I do lots of listening. But choosing a major is, it's a big deal, but it shouldn't be, it should be an enjoyable process, and it should be fun. And so it's like trying on shoes. You try on a pair of shoes and you walk a little bit in them. And then if you don't like them, take them off and try a different pair of shoes. And you're gonna know when your major fits by it. It just feels right. It just kind of fits. And so I encourage students who come in, take lots of classes. Classes sound interesting, cool, take it. And in Rhodes College, you have quite a bit of flexibility to take classes. They just sound cool and interesting. And I encourage you, we all do, take cool, fun classes. That's why you're at college, right? And then when you find your major, it'll be a whole lot of cool classes all clumped together. And that's magical when that happens, because then you found your fit, right? It will happen. Just relax. You'll find it, right? And you're not alone, right? We're all here to help you with that process. But a lot of it is just taking lots of cool classes and having some fun and being open. So just so you know, I started off my undergrad as I was a mechanical and aeronautics student at Princeton. So I was a rocket scientist. And now I am a professor of political science. Totally different. So I went from rocket science to, right? And so I specialize in urban studies and urban politics. And I just happened at Princeton to take an urban politics class just because it sounded cool. And it totally changed my entire life, that one class. And now I teach this stuff and I love it. So I totally expect folks to try new things and to be open-minded. And man, you never know what cool adventures you can go upon if you come in with an open mind and being willing to try new things.
Following what Professor Gibson just pointed out, I think, one of the things I like to tell my advisees is that you have to explore, you know, and well, as a professor from the international study department, I always tell my students that international study department is good, right? And this course is interesting, and that course is interesting. So you might want to take this one or that one your first semester. But at the same time, I always encourage them to explore even more, right? If you are interested in, as Professor Gibson pointed out, if you're interested in another field, you should try that. And you might want to take as many introductory courses as possible that you like in your first year to explore and and talk to the professor who teach that introductory course about that field and that department, and then at the end you can make a decision. And in many cases, in the first place, you may feel that, oh, I'm interested in, say, international studies and really hate math, but who knows, maybe at the end you become a math major, right? So you have to explore. That's my suggestion.
And for students who might need help knowing where to get started, do we give advice on which introductory courses might help, pertain to some of their interests? And do you have some specific examples of some of those popular courses for first years?
So there are a lot of advising that you can do that you will receive to figure out what you're going to take in your first set of courses. It will depend on your interest and what you think you might pursue. You'll come in with your first round of career goals, and I like to say first round to my students because things change. I was pre-med until senior year when I sat down to fill out the application, and it was like, no, I want to teach. So your first round of career goals will position you to do that. I would certainly say that if you're interested in a STEM career, then you'll certainly want to start in a STEM class, and you'll want to think about which of those STEM classes you want to get into. If you're interested in humanities, then you'll certainly want to at least take a humanities class, because again, you are exploring and you want to see what you like. You never know what one class will change your life and how that's going to then change the route that you envisioned for yourself. And so you want to be open to that. You will definitely take some of your F1s and you'll take some of your foundations classes, but you'll have at least one or two classes that you can really select and just to explore, to get your feet wet and some exposure into a potential path that you might like.
And also, I think Dr. Stokes also mentioned this. During the summer, we have an orientation. I think that's called Open Roads, right? And during that event, students will get a lot of information about, the academic fields and what kind of introductory courses they can take to explore. And the other thing I want to point out is that, so here we are trying to provide you with some suggestions from professors' perspective, but sometimes you can get some advices from your fellow students, right? Those sophomores, those juniors, those seniors, sometimes they know more than professors. I really have to say. So they can also tell you a lot of things, right? You can ask a political science major about that major. You can ask a chemistry major about that major, and then you can get a lot of information as well. And of course, we professors are always here to help.
Speaking of getting to know fellow students and relying on them as community, we have a couple of questions about being a minority student at Rhodes at a predominantly white institution and how that community is built. And for those listening, I hope you will also ask our student panelists that will follow this, as they can tell you about building community. But faculty, what would you say, what is it like to be a minority student at Rhodes in the classroom environment, and how do our students build community and find their place and their people, maybe even within their academic area of interest?
So I take this pretty seriously. So I'm openly gay. and I'm married to a white guy, and I live in the South, and we adopted kids from the foster care system. So like I'm all types of minorities on top of minorities, on top of minorities. And here's the thing, right? I live at Rhodes College, right? I've been here for 7 years and I'm still here, right? And I'm here because it's a really special place. And one of the most important things that I try to do in the classroom is to create an environment where I'm welcome, all of us are welcome. We create spaces where we can just be ourselves. Whoever you are, you're welcome at Rhodes College. Okay, you're welcome in the classroom. You're welcome when you go to academic affairs. You're welcome in financial aid. You're welcome in admissions. You are welcome throughout, and all of your personhood is accepted, celebrated, and welcomed at Rhodes College. And I mean that. There's no disclaimers for that. You are welcome here, and so that starts in the classroom. But it's a value. It's a value for the institution that runs throughout the entire college. And so one thing I can tell you, so when I was a student, oh God, Jesus, 25 years ago at Princeton, it was totally different. You couldn't even just be yourself. And then trying to learn on top of that, a place where you don't feel as though you can be yourself, it was unbelievably challenging. And one thing I can say honestly is that you can be yourself at Rhodes College. You can just be. And I know it sounds really simple, but that's so powerful. And it's such a special feeling just to be able to be wholly and entirely yourself and not have to hide parts of yourself or have to explain parts of yourself to others, right? And so that's something I celebrate, right? And now Rhodes College, this is a rigorous place. We're going to challenge you, but the cool thing is we're not going to challenge your identity, okay? We're not going to challenge how you see yourself. We're going to challenge and have conversations about the evidence behind theories, and we're going to test hypotheses, and we're going to do this in a rigorous analysis. So we have conversations and we challenge each other, we push each other based upon evidence, based upon what's out there, based upon experiments, based upon testing, based upon the data, right? But you never have to feel as though parts of you aren't accepted, or different spaces in this institution you can't exist. And so talk with students who are here, because that's my perspective. But I can tell you that all of us are committed to creating spaces where all of you will be accepted and celebrated. And you don't have to hide being who you are here. And I think that is really powerful. And that's not everywhere. It's something really special at Rhodes College.
And I just want to add that, in student life, we know that a lot of finding your people and finding connection will happen outside of the classroom. And so within the Division of Student Life, we have an Office of Student Activities, and we have a whole section of multicultural and cultural organizations, ranging from the African Student Association to all students interested in Asia, the Black Student Association, the Latinx Student Association, the Gender Sexuality Alliance, German, Russian, international student support. And so we have a wide variety of student organizations that are here to provide a support network around culture. So we try to get students connected to the student organizations as quickly as possible, starting at Welcome Week, and then soon after Welcome Week, which is the first week of classes, we have student organization events where students can start to connect with other students. So we put that out there so that students have access to it, and so that they can reach out to the presidents of the orgs and start going to meetings or show up for an event.
So I'll jump in there and add to what's been said. So Rhodes is certainly a space where we are absolutely growing and learning and making sure that we're doing all the things that we can to support our students from marginalized backgrounds. And some of the things that I've appreciated about the college is the leadership that they've brought in that has really promoted this direction, right? And so it is challenging being a student from a marginalized background at a predominantly white institution. It is challenging, but with the right resources and support that Rhodes is trying to provide you with, you can do it, right? And so one of the things that we do, and we have a STEM cohort for students of color that are coming into chemistry and biology, if you're interested in a STEM career, period. And we've cohort these students, right? So that you're in the same classes together. So it's not just you in the class by yourself, it's you with 10 other people who are from backgrounds similar to you. And so that is one of the, I think some of the other things that the college is really investing in, and they're supporting these types of things. The other thing is that faculty are doing more and more to learn more and more about these inclusive pedagogies and multicultural teaching and learning practices, so that we can infuse all of that into the curriculum. We want to make sure that all voices are heard and that people see themselves in the curriculum. And so I think that's an important thing, that there is an engagement with faculty who are really trying to make sure that we're doing everything we can to foster your sense of belonging.
Yeah, so I think in general, I think the college is very supportive of minority population. Well, as mentioned, there are a lot of student groups, especially culture-oriented student group, and I also want to point out that in our classrooms, we professors do appreciate and enjoy diversity in our classroom. We especially encourage our students from minority population to share their views with the majority, because people in the majority have very few opportunities to learn from people from the minority, and in our classroom we want them to share their experience. We want them to exchange views, and in many cases we learn a lot of things. So for example, last semester I have a student from Myanmar, and we talk about democratic transition, right? And here in the United States, people actually have no experience about that, because we're in a democracy. You don't know, what it feels like to be in an authoritarian regime and what it feels like to be in a democratic transition. And that student shared his view with us. And unfortunately, this semester there is a military coup in his country, and he helped organize a panel to help students here to learn more about the military coup over there. So with students like that from different backgrounds, we here at Rhodes can actually learn a lot of things inside and outside classrooms.
Thank you so much for everyone's perspective on that wonderful question. And again, I hope you will continue to ask our current students in the next section about building community at Rhodes and finding your place. We've had a question about research, and this is something that I think is a total strength of Rhodes and gives our students absolutely an advantage no matter what their later career goal is. And I know all of you are involved in research. Can someone speak to how you get involved in research, the benefits of it, some of the opportunities at a place like Rhodes?
I think so. You get involved in research by just asking, right? And so we want to make sure everyone knows that you can just ask. It is okay. Even if you don't see yourself as a researcher, you should just ask, right? If you find a faculty member who's doing something that seems cool and you want to participate, just ask. If a faculty member has groups, like some faculty members take large labs, like I have 15 students in my research lab, and some take smaller labs. They may take 2 to 4 students. And so it just depends on if, their students have graduated and they have the space, but absolutely get involved. Some of the benefits of research are, one, you really get to see how what we're teaching you in that classroom matters in real context, right? You get to take the chemistry that we're doing and you're learning in my class, use in the lab to design drugs. Right now, my students are designing drugs for coronavirus. So they've designed antivirals, and some of them are now included on patent applications. And so that's pretty big to be able to come out with publications and patents coming out of undergraduate. The benefit of doing research at a liberal arts college is that that we are really investing in the students, the undergraduates, not just graduate students or postdocs. And you actually do have an opportunity to do everything you might experience in an R1 institution, that the postdocs and the graduate students are going to have access to. And so you have access to St. Jude as well. If you're in STEM, there's St. Jude program, the Bonner program. We have these STEM scholar programs. And those, it's great opportunities and training for a future professional career and curriculum and critical thinking and stuff like that. And so just ask if it's interesting to you. More faculty are always willing to talk about what we do with our research labs. So you'll get great conversation.
Yeah, I was going to say, to jump in, I'm teaching remotely this semester, but looking forward to the fall when we're back in person. But my office door is always open. Literally, it's always open. I just leave it open when I'm on campus, and I do that on purpose. So you can come in and just talk, and it really is to just ask. It's just ask, right? And so students have been involved in some of my research projects. We've done I do a lot of training and advanced stats modeling. And so there's some background that needs to happen for that to happen. But you can be a part of projects that I'm working on. And if I'm not doing something you're interested in, I know someone who is. And the other cool thing, and kind of relate to the last question, is that Rhodes College is in Memphis, which is a major city. It's a major metropolitan area, and it's a powerhouse in the South. And so, and the cool thing about the just ask is that you just ask at Rhodes College. Doors open. Doors are already open for you, waiting for you to come in and ask us. And then the same thing is about Memphis, Tennessee, where it's a big city, but also kind of a small town where we know folks who know folks. Right? We know the mayor, we know the mayor's staff. We can pick up the phone and say, we got a student, go over there and talk to them. And then you can actually do that. You actually you can talk to the mayor, talk to city council members that I know them, right? Right? And so doors open in ways that may not happen in other locations, particularly if you're in a liberal arts college in the middle of nowhere somewhere, right? It's much harder to do that. To do the research, to ask these questions, to have these internships or experiences in research. And so just want to kind of context it as well, is that it also makes Rhodes College unique. We are unique because we're an awesome college. We're also in a really dynamic and interesting and diverse city, right? And that has a lot of benefits as well for research, for internships, as well as for jobs. We talk about jobs and kind of, you want to go after jobs at grad school, you can talk about that too. We have an excellent placement for law school, medical school, and grad school. Our placement record is amazing. I think it speaks to the quality of the education experience you get at Rhodes College.
Yeah, so yeah, the key word is X. Yes, I agree. I 100% agree. So, professors here at Rhodes are doing research all the time. So, we might need a research assistant, sometimes. And of course, as a scholar of international studies, we are in social science. We don't run a lab. So, but we do research, and we do need, research assistants. So all you have to do is to ask, the professors whether they need a research assistant or not. The other thing I want to point out is that actually, if you are really interested in doing research, I think here at Rhodes, you can take a course which is called directed inquiry, which means that you can actually design your own research with a certain faculty member. So if you have any idea about anything that you want to research on, well, you can just ask a certain professor who is in that field to see if he or she is willing to help you with your project, and you take that directed inquiry course with that professor. And so throughout the whole semester, you design your research proposal, you come up with your own research question, you make your own hypothesis, you test your hypothesis, and at the end, you have a research done. And so that's something amazing that we have here at Rhodes.
All right, kind of shifting gears, research often provides, further enrichment in a subject or area of study in which a student's interested. What if a student is struggling? What if the rigor of Rhodes, which we certainly have mentioned, and it is something that students need to know about coming in, that it is a challenging academic environment, but a supportive one. How do we support students? Where do they go if they're struggling? And how, not just from student life's perspective, but faculty, how do you support your students as well?
Well, I'll start, and I'll just say that, You know, we reach out to students from student life at different touch points in the semester. And so within our student life offices, we have a team of students, a team of staff who we call the academic support team or the student success team. And we reach out to students beginning at the start of the semester. Sometimes students on their welcome week surveys, they indicate that they're nervous about the adjustment to college or they're nervous about their study skills. We'll reach out to them and connect them to one of our peer coaches early on so that we can help them ahead of time. We'll also provide workshops on how to be successful in college and how to manage your time, and make sure that they're aware of tutoring resources to those students who've indicated to us that they're worried or concerned. At 4 weeks, we send out progress reports to all of our faculty, and we ask our faculty to alert us and the student if there's anyone who's exhibiting concerning behavior. Maybe it's attendance, maybe it's students aren't turning in papers on time. It allows us to have a gentle touch point to say, hey, what's going on with that class? It seems that you're having a hard time making it. And we might learn that they're not a morning person and all 8 a.m.s was probably a poor decision, but that's what they did. And so we have to figure out strategies to help them get to those 8 a.m. classes on time. We also sometimes have to help students figure out strategies for avoiding procrastination or avoiding perfectionism and being afraid to turn in assignments on time. Our next touch point is at midterms. At 7 weeks into the term, we ask faculty to report midterm grades, and that gives us another opportunity to help connect students to their faculty if they're experiencing academic difficulties. For some students, it's a great way for them to see that they're doing great on their path, and that helps confirm that they want to continue with classes in the social sciences or maybe classes in the natural sciences. So those are the outreach points where we help connect students with faculty to help determine if they need additional tutoring, support, just encouragement if they find themselves having a hard time. I'll let the faculty take it from here.
So this question is super important, and I take it, I think, very seriously. That's one of our main roles is to teach, and so that you understand you're not lost. And so there are points in time where, so I devote unlimited time to this. So if you have questions, I will stay in office hours. I'll create new office hours. I will, whatever I need to do to help. Sometimes it's just as simple as having a different textbook that explains something in a different way. People learn differently. I've been a part of organizing student groups in my classes to work together, to study together. And I've directed people to the Writing Center and to other places to help with writing if that's needed. So there's a lot of resources here, but I want you all to understand that professors here, we're all invested in your success. And I mean that seriously. Princeton, I remember there was a bell curve and I was in organic chemistry and I was at the end of the bell curve and it was like 43% or something on this organic chemistry quiz. And I could find my point on that bell curve and I was like, there I was, totally lost, right? So I get it. I totally understand that. Right. So I don't want that to happen. I don't want anyone to experience that. That was a terrible experience. Right. And so, right, learning, understanding, and expressing and being able to share knowledge and build upon what's been learned out there is something that we're experts in. We actually are really good at this. Right. And so we don't want you to get lost at any point in time. And if you are lost, right, we'll help you. And if we can't help you, we'll connect with those who can, but you're part of a team here. So we're all invested in your success, right? So I went to an R1, it's like lots of people, thousands and thousands of huge classes of hundreds of thousands of people. No, average class size is, what is it? Like we're all under 20, is like 10 or 12 or so. My office is literally open all the time. Come on in, just even if you have an appointment. Just come in, I will put down what I'm doing and talk to you, right? So that's the environment that you're walking into if you decide to come to Rhodes College, and you're gonna get excellent teachers, excellent research opportunities, right? And we're gonna push you. It is challenging, right? So that the culture here is, on Friday night, you're not out drinking and partying. It is, we're all in the library and we're working. So the culture is work, but the cool thing is that I have no pressure to create. I only have 2 A's and everyone else got to fight all those 2 A's. If you guys all earn A's, you'll all get A's. There's no pressure, right? So the culture here is, hey, we all work hard, but it's not cutthroat. You got questions, we help each other out. We don't hide books in the library. This is my book, right? No. We share, right? And so that's something that's important to understand the culture of this place is, yes, it's work, right? But it's doable. You have to put the work in and you have to ask for help, and we will help you. We will absolutely help you. So I hope folks won't feel overwhelmed. And if you do, reach out, because when you reach out, there will be multiple hands, right, to hold you and to lift you up and to sustain you and to encourage you that you can do it.
So I'll add one more thing to that is in addition to one of the things we do is really accessibility. So we want you to know that the faculty are accessible. And not just during office hours. Office hours is a time for you absolutely to be in office hours. We want you in office hours. Please remember that you should go to office hours. That's where you get all the answers before the test, okay? But the other thing is we're accessible when we're just walking across the campus, right? We're accessible after hours, right? After 5 o'clock. I have multiple meetings after 5 o'clock with students. The other thing is that we're not only accessible person, but we are trying to also make sure that things are accessible for you. So one thing that the chemistry department has done is all of the textbooks are actually on reserve in the library. Why? Because not everybody can get the textbook on day one, right? So we make sure that there are plenty of copies in the library for you to check out. We make sure that if those, because especially since STEM books are like what, $300 a book, right? We appreciate that. And so we try and find the book that is going to be the best value for the student because it's expensive, right? The other thing is what we want you to reach out. I will go find students that actually are not reaching out, right? And so I will search for you. And I've searched for students that aren't in my class, right? I hear about a student through a friend and, oh, okay. And I will find my way, right? Because sometimes you just need to have a conversation with someone and say, you know what, this is your education. You're paying a lot of money for it. Is this what you want, right? and sometimes it's that not everybody, we weren't totally ready for the course we were in, and now we're stressed out. And if we could just get you to the counseling office and they can help you with some of that test taking anxiety. And so for helping you tap into the resources that we have on campus as well. If we can get you to some support group, I can help you. If we can help you set up a study group within your class. I have pulled the directory down and said, okay, well, let's pick some people in your class. Who do you know? I'm going to send the email for you. I think all 4 of you should be a study group. How about that, right? And so getting you connected is important, especially when you're a freshman, because you don't know anybody. It's like, well, who is here? And so those are some of the other things that many faculty will do to kind of go above and beyond to make sure that you not only have the resources that were accessible, but that you know that someone is going to be reaching out and looking after you.
So,
I'll give you a couple of, I'll let you have the final word there before we have to move on.
okay, so I have the final word. So, well, my final word is that actually one good thing about Rhodes College is the class size is very small, right? Most of our classes have only fewer than 15 people. So as many of the people here pointed out, we know each other, right? So it's not like, other colleges where they have, classes with like 100 students, 200 students. In that kind of class, not only students get lost, professors get lost too, right? We don't know our students, but at Rhodes, we know our students. So it's very easy for us to know if there's anything wrong, right? So so again, we are more than welcome to help people, and so please reach out. But if you don't reach out, actually, we will try to contact you, because again, we know everybody, and this is one of the good thing about Rhodes. You will always get help.
Well, I mentioned at the beginning, I'm an alum, and it always makes me so proud to hear how beautifully y'all summarize the Rhodes experience, that where our students are challenged, but they also receive opportunities beyond the classroom, and they are supported in every dimension of their life at Rhodes. And so thank you for for sharing the way that you serve the Rhodes students. And students, as you're listening, when you join us in the fall, look these professors up. They're going to want to teach you in those introductory classes that we talked about. All right, thank you all so much for being with us tonight. And stay tuned, because next up, we have a panel of current students.
My baking journey really started when I was around 6 or 7. I want to be like on the cutting edge of food. I want to invent something that's going to change the future. My journey with Rhodes really started when I was in middle school. My mom sent me to summer camp. So we were doing coding camp in the basement of the library. So when I was a senior, Rhodes was definitely on the list to apply. I really wanted a small class size and a strong teacher-student relationship, and Rhodes, of course, offered me that. I had the intention of being a bio pre-med major, but life happens. I want to say it was my sophomore year. So me and my friends, we were studying, and it was a struggle. And they were like, well, why don't we go see Dr. Stoddard?
Zoe came to me just as an informal mentee.
Now, I had heard about Dr. Stoddard before because I heard she was the one that was getting everybody's lives on track.
Seeing her passion for what she does, helping her to find that you can actually explore that passion through chemistry.
And I'm like, wow, this chemistry path is tempting.
Finding out that she really enjoyed the science behind food so much more than potentially working in a hospital and being a physician.
And literally in that night, we came for like study help and like some snacks. And I ended up being like, yeah, I can be a chemistry major.
And so the confidence to pursue her passion is not only something that Zoe gets here at Rhodes, but it's something that all the faculty want to provide for all of our students.
The woman who is the head of flavoring for Cold Stone Creameries, and she's a Black food scientist. I read about her story and I was like, oh my gosh, she used the science to develop these perfect flavors. And I was like, I could see myself doing that.
When you're mentoring students, what you're really helping them to do is to prepare them for the next phase of life. You're helping them to define who they are, and you're really helping to draw out their potential.
Dr. Stoddard, I have so much to thank her for. And I really hope she sees this one day.
Excuse me. All right, welcome back, everyone. My name is Piyush Kumar. I'm the Assistant Director of Admission here at Rhodes College, and I will be hosting our student panel. We're going to have a couple more students join up real quick, and they're going to talk about their experiences at Rhodes. But like before, same thing with the other panel. Feel free to use the Q&A box and ask your questions for our students and the things you want to hear about, their experiences through academics and, just being a student on campus. So feel free to utilize that Q&A box while we get started. But why don't we go ahead and start with Mallory, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, and then we can go from there.
Hi, everyone. My name is Mallory. I am the class of 2023. I'm from Nashville, and I'm a business major and a Spanish minor.
Cool. And then Kofi, do you want to go ahead?
Hello, everybody. My name is Kofi Whitehead. I'm from Baltimore, Maryland. I'm a sophomore, and I'm majoring in English, and I'm minoring in business and Africana studies.
All right, Isabel.
Hey, everyone. I'm really happy to be here. My name is Isabel Lopez. I'm a sophomore studying the Economics and International Studies Bridge major. I'm originally from Caracas, Venezuela, but I moved to the US in 2017.
Awesome. And Vindia, do you want to round us out?
Yes, I was having technical difficulties. I apologize, y'all. Hey, everyone. My name is Vindia. I go by she, her pronouns. I'm originally from Denver, Colorado, but my family moved to Florida, so now they're there. I am a health equity and neuroscience double major, also a senior, so graduating soon. Nervous. Are we also talking about clubs and organizations you're part of? Okay, cool. I'm a part of Globe Med. I am a GHU event coordinator for that. And I am a PA leader, so like for first years coming in on campus, and I'll leave it at that.
Awesome. Well, cool. Thank you guys so much for joining us today and talking to our prospective students that are, considering college and figuring out where they want to be for the upcoming year. I want to kick things off by just kind of going around the room and just kind of asking, what was your journey to Rhodes like? How did you kind of, make that decision for yourself when you found yourself as a prospective student? Why don't we start with you, Mallory, and you can kind of start us off, and then everybody can talk about their experience.
So I had always known about Rhodes. My dad went to Rhodes, and I have family in Memphis. So growing up, I was always like, I'm not going to school where my dad went. I just don't want to even look at it. I don't want to be bothered. So when it came to the college search, I was looking at schools, and I was like, let me just look at Rhodes. Let me just take a look and see how it goes. It was after I looked at all other schools, and I got on campus and I just kind of felt it. If that makes sense, but I felt the community, I felt the support. I felt the support not only from being on campus, but also just the opportunities that Memphis has compared to the other schools in the other cities that I was looking at. And it was right before the decision day, and I was doing my pros and cons list. It was between Rhodes and one other school, and Rhodes had most pros. And so I was like, I'm going to Rhodes. So yeah.
Cool. Vindy, do you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. I want to echo what Mallory was saying about getting onto campus and then feeling it. And I know that everyone says that, but like it's sincerely, at least I'm a believer in like the whole science thing. I think I talked to a student who worked at Refugee Empowerment Program, which is in the Binghamton neighborhood. So it's really close to Rhodes. And I like sat down on a bench and had a conversation with her, and she was just telling me a lot more about what Rhodes has to offer. And I really did feel that community. And you can really see with like, you can really take my word for this. You can sit down and talk to any Rhodes student on any bench or over Zoom or wherever, and they really are passionate about their major or about the work that they do off campus. And you can just see it in their eyes. And so that's really, I think, what pushed me over the edge to apply.
Cool. Isabel?
Yeah, I'm gonna go back to what Vindy was saying because so the first time I came to Rhodes, it was for the Crossroads program. And it was really talking to the students what made me be like, okay, this place is special. So unlike Mallory and Vindia, I had no idea Rhodes existed. I found out about it through my college and career counselor in my high school based on like what my interest. She told me, I think you should look at Rhodes. And then I came to the multicultural visit and just the sense of community felt so good. And like being from another country, identifying as a Latino person in the South, it was important to me to know that I wouldn't feel alone. And really, the good thing about Rhodes is that multicultural communities, we really do stick together and we really support each other. And I remember visiting a class and then going for lunch. And I ended up sitting with one of the students from the class. My mom even sat with us, and his friends were sitting there, and we were all just talking. And I was thinking, like, in no other place would like a 19-year-old person be comfortable talking to a stranger and her parents. Like, only at Rhodes does that happen.
Yeah, awesome. And welcome back to the Crossroads program. We're happy to have you again. Kofi, you want to round us out?
Yeah, so I'm from up north, and so I had never heard of Rhodes until like Isabel, my college advisor, recommended it. I also play baseball here, so I was looking at schools to play baseball at. I was looking at small liberal arts schools with strong senses of community. And so after talking to the coach, I came down here and I did Crossroads, and I instantly fell in love with the school. I knew right off the bat that's where I wanted to go. I stepped foot on campus. I knew I wanted to play baseball here, and I wanted to go here as a student. When I told my mom, I was like, I don't even want to look anywhere else. So for me, it was like a pretty easy decision because one, it was far away from home, which was a big plus for me. And two, I came down when it was hot and the weather was amazing. And so being on campus and seeing all the things that took place on campus, all the cool things in the rat and all the activities that were going on outside, I knew that I wanted to attend this school. And so I was here, and after I came and visited, I knew it's where I wanted to go. So, yeah.
Awesome, cool. Well, thank you guys so much for sharing your journey to Rhodes. We have a question actually that's kind of related to this. We have a student that's asking, what was your first year like? As a senior, it's definitely intimidating going from online learning to senior year, possibly in person to our new college. Any advice on the first year as a student at Rhodes?
I think my biggest tip would be to not be afraid to talk to people. And I know that sounds kind of intimidating. I was a senior in high school and who was really shy. I didn't talk to anyone really. I was just very nervous to, it's hard to venture out and make new friends, especially going from a community you're so comfortable with. But I got to Rhodes and, all the upperclassmen were like, just talk to anyone. I promise everyone's going to talk to you and be nice. So I was like, I'm going to put this to the test. So I went in the rat and I sat down at a random table with random people and I just started talking with them. And I got close with them. I got to make friends that way. And that made me feel so much more comfortable going in to the rest of the school year, just knowing that I could talk to anybody on campus and I'm going to feel comfortable and I'm going to feel like I belong here.
Yeah, I want to echo what Mallory said. I think the first few weeks, everybody's going to feel the same way. You might think that you're the only one that's nervous or apprehensive about going to a new place. Every freshman feels the same way. And so just talking to people those first few weeks makes such a difference. I think when I just walked around campus, I would say hello to everybody I saw. And you don't know how many friends you can make that way, because as a freshman, you come to a new place and you're looking for somebody who you can talk to, and you don't want to be by yourself on campus those first few weeks. So you'll find groups. And I think a big thing too is that don't be afraid to exchange friend groups. I mean, I think people try to latch on and stay with one group of people. There's so many kids here and such a diverse population. You're gonna find so many different things. You have friends you're in one club with, or friends you're in another club with, and that's perfectly normal. I think it's just so much more diverse than high school. That's something that Rhodes does so well, is bringing so many different people together. I think it's okay to find different groups of people and be friends with them all. So
I'm gonna take it kind of in a different route as Mallory and Kofi. I would say if I could tell my freshman self something would be take it easy, be gentle to yourself, and really start prioritizing time management. Because even though Rhodes is small, there are so many opportunities and so many different people and different ways to get involved that it can feel very overwhelming. And I remember after going to the SAC fair the first week, just feeling like I wanted to be in so many different clubs. I wanted to do so many different volunteering opportunities. And then it's like, oh my God, this and my classes and then a social life. So it can feel very overwhelming because you're much more independent than during high school. So remember to be gentle on yourself. The transition, it's gonna look different for different people, but just trust that there's resources around you who can help you if things get rough, and know that you're going to end up finding your place, your niche, and the people who are gonna help you get through it.
I'm gonna continue off of what Issa was saying. Definitely, I think that's what I did. If I were to give myself, my first year self, a piece of advice would be to slow down. Like, it is very easy, and it's really awesome how many different activities and clubs and organizations and people you can meet. But it is really important to prioritize balance and, caring for yourself, because if you can, pour energy back in yourself, then you can really go back out there. And I think that's something that you kind of learn over the course of college and probably the rest of your life. So take it easy. Don't be too hard on yourself. Like, you really will figure your place out and where you feel your most authentic self. So that goes into my next point. Next advice is, especially as a student of color, or especially as a student of a marginalized identity, like, very much prioritizing to be yourself in spaces, because if you are your most authentic self, then you will gravitate and find people of the same community or same interests, and feel and really create a sense of community through there. So it's kind of like carving a space for yourself. Do that. So that's my advice.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you guys so much for that. So we have another question here, kind of switching gears a little bit, talking about internships at Rhodes. And so kind of talking about the major organizations that we have partnerships with. St. Jude is located in Memphis, FedEx, ServiceMaster, AutoZone, those major companies. We have also various nonprofits that you can be a part of. But I'm curious, have you guys had the opportunity to work with various internships? And if not, have you kind of began those conversations with career services? And if you had, can you kind of talk about those internship opportunities you've had?
I can start off with this question. I feel like I was very fortunate that I had a really good experience regarding internships. So that fall semester, my first semester here during the SAC fair, I met with a representative from Planned Parenthood, and I was just, talking about my interests, what brought me here, and they mentioned that they had an internship position available for their Latinx serving programs. So the next week I went for the interview and I got the position. And so this day, I'm still working with Planned Parenthood there. So that goes to show that even though like Rhodes does have a lot of connections and you can apply for academic internships, even if you don't choose to go that traditional route, it's so easy to get involved. And so many people come to Rhodes, especially like nonprofits in the city, because they know that we have great students. And even as a freshman, they go, oh, she goes to Rhodes, and they saw the potential in me, and they thought I was deserving of the opportunity.
Yeah, I haven't really done a lot of internships at Rhodes, but I'm also a Bonner Scholar. And so we do a lot of work in the city of Memphis, like partnering with local service opportunities and local social justice organizations in the city. So I've worked at various homeless shelters, and I'm working at one right now doing their social media work. I mean, as somebody about to be a junior next year, I'm looking at internships. Rhodes is with Handshake, which is really good, where it helps you find a ton of different internships tailored towards your needs. So as an English major, I want to be a sports journalist. So I put into Handshake that I wanted to do journalism, and came up with a ton of opportunities for me to intern in Memphis or in other locations across the country. So I think Rhodes does a really good job of helping you find different internships that are tailored towards what you want to do in life.
And I'd like to add, compared to, I think I was looking at colleges in bigger cities or like, places like New York, LA, and I think it's really difficult, honestly, as an undergrad student. You're kind of competing with graduate students in those really big metropolitan areas. But at Rhodes, I really do feel like I've had so many different, I'm a senior now, so 4 years of really diverse internship opportunities. Like I've had an internship abroad, as well as in a community-based nonprofit clinic at the moment. And, I don't think I would have had that if I had gone to a really big college or a really big university in a metropolitan area like Chicago, New York. So just to add to that.
And then I also just want to add, don't feel pressured to like know exactly what you want to intern, do that, your first year. And that's something that I was glad I didn't focus on that at the time, because I was able to just meet with career services. They're an excellent resource. If you're not looking for an internship at the time, I would still meet with them because they got to know me. They looked over my resume. We've done interview practices, and next summer I'm going to plan on doing an internship. I want to go into accounting. But now that career services, they know me, they're going to be able to better find an internship that suits me, not only with what I want to do career wise, but also that aligns with my personality and my beliefs and everything like that. So get connected with them. They're an excellent resource, and they're just super sweet and nice and very helpful. So
Cool. And so this question coming up next, I'm really glad someone asked it. We've been talking a lot about academics and opportunities at Rhodes, but what do Rhodes students do for fun and to kind of de-stress?
I can start off. So my friends and I love to have game nights. We'll just get a bunch of board games and we'll just have a blast. So that's something that you could do. And then also a lot of the organizations on campus host so many, activities, events, game nights, movie nights. So going to all those is very helpful as well. And you can meet so many people through that as well. So I suggest. So I actually have a game night for the Multicultural Vision Program. It's hosting a game night tomorrow. So that'll be fun. But yeah, I mean, Rhodes is pretty creative when it comes to things to do. There's always something to do. You'll never be bored. So
I think also, oh, go ahead.
No, go.
I think also a big thing that Rhodes has to offer is the city of Memphis. There's so many things to do that are close to Rhodes, like 15 minutes or less, where you can go with some friends. I mean, I think my freshman year, I went to NBA games because tickets are always cheaper for Rhodes students, and they'll even sell you tickets at a discounted price. So you can go to NBA games with the Memphis Grizzlies. We went to Memphis football games. This year I went to a drive-in movie theater, and that was about $20. You go with your friends in your car, you watch 2 movies at nighttime, and it was an amazing time. And there's so many restaurants in town that you can go to and just eat at least once a week off campus with your friends. So I think the city of Memphis has so many good things to offer. You'll always find little spots where you love going to.
I was going to continue what Mallory was talking about. Rhodes students are so creative and so resourceful. You can definitely see that from this past year after the pandemic or during the pandemic. Rhodes Activity Board is this one student-led organization. It's incredible. And one of my roommates over here, organized this one event as soon as everything happened, March or April, and it was this trivia night, and it was incredible and hilarious to see everyone jump on Zoom. And so just to see the number of events that they've had, there's always something to do, and it's a really, you can see how the community has kind of adapted and become a really resilient group of folks within the time. So
Kind of to build on Vindia's point, because I just saw the Instagram post for Rab's new event. It's like would you be my quarantine boo or something like that? I don't know, but it's like a speed working / networking kind of event. It's gonna be Friday evening, and they're just gonna do it in this really big green area of campus, and they'll just match you up with someone, and it's you ask a question, you answer it, then you move on to the next person. So it looks really fun. I'm really sad I can't be there because I'm at home in Houston right now. So even if you're not the partying kind of person, there's lots of things for you to do and to still have fun. I do want to talk a little bit about the party life, because I know that was a big question I had. Latin America partying is really big. So I was used to the Latin American partying scene. So frat parties for me, it's not what I'm used to. That being said, if you go with your friends, you're still gonna have a good time. There's a bunch of different frats, and they all have their own vibe. So I know that if I was at the ATO house or at the Signu house, I was really gonna vibe with the music, and I was gonna have a really good time with my friends. So it is fun. And again, that also being said, like Kofi was saying, there's still a lot of places to go out in Memphis. If once you're 21, you can go to Beale Street, you can hit the clubs there or the bars. But I want to recommend you guys the High Tone Cafe. If any of you guys are big rock fans, it's 5 minutes away from campus. The cover fee is super cheap. They have live music, the food is really good, and you can just have a really good time listening to local bands there.
Cool. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for kind of talking about, ways to de-stress. I think that's one of the most important things when considering colleges is, can you feel good about the location you're in and just kind of looking past academics and also just enjoying your time there. We have a question here, and this is kind of building off the previous panel we had with our professors. What has been your favorite Rhodes class so far? And talk about, your relationships and your access to the professors at Rhodes.
I can start. Last semester, I took Luther Ivory's MLK and Civil Rights class. I think actually Mallory's in that class too. And that was probably the best class that I've taken at Rhodes. Dr. Ivory and I got really close over the time in our class. We still talk to this day. We'll text all the time. I'll stop by his house and we'll Zoom and do things like that. It just shows the connection between the students and the professors that Rhodes has. I think that's a really good thing about going to a small school. The classes are only around 13 kids or less, and so you get an incredibly close relationship with your professors. So that class was an example of how close I get with my teachers. And so he really like helped me grow, not just as a student, but also as a man, like going through college and being able to have an open and safe space to talk about things in the classroom and even outside the classroom. And that just proves to me that I made a good choice coming to Rhodes.
I love this question because I absolutely idolize my professors. They are such gems of campus. Like they will tell you their life story, like life advice, everything. I think I've been really angry, been really frustrated, I've cried in their offices. I've had like tea, like lunch, everything in their offices, and they're just incredible. The person I'm going to use an example was actually on this panel earlier, Dr. Keith Gibson. Love Dr. Gibson. I took urban politics and policy, and it like completely changed my life. I took it my sophomore year, and at the time I was like, I think a pre-med going on neuroscience or psychology track, and this is a political science course, and it was a part of a health equity major, and so I'm a health equity major now. You guys might know what happened, but I was in the class, and I think once I walked in, and he literally put on the board like, what drives lasting social change? And I'm sitting there just thinking like, this is crazy that this is a question that we are about to tackle in this classroom of like 20, like us, like this ragtag group of 20 people, we're going to tackle this. And it just like really blew my mind that like, you know, it just felt really empowering to be at the table, so to speak, of questions like this. And Dr. Gibson, like I remember at the end of the semester, I walked in his office and I was like, I have been like neglecting to come here because I'm nervous that you're going to change my mind and my major and my career path. And that's exactly what happened. Like, yes and no, it kind of added to my career path. And he was there just giving me so much life advice, talking about his experiences in DC and poli-sci and how important it is to think about structural and social change on a more holistic level. And yep, just absolutely blew my mind. I'm not going to say more because I don't want to ruin it. I want you guys to take it. But
I think for me, my favorite two classes, because they were taught by the same professor. So it was the Bible and Ethics, and then the Bible and Black Lives Matter. I took it with Professor Dwayne Loins. He's amazing. The class itself was amazing, and then he was amazing as a professor. So in the class, I learned a lot about how people use the Bible to justify certain hateful actions and certain ideologies. And Professor Loins, he cared about everyone in his class. So I remember one time there was like some really bad tornadoes in Nashville, which is where I'm from, and it kind of destroyed a lot of the city. And he made sure to reach out to me and, you know, check on me. And he was like, how's your family doing? I hope everything's all right. And we also have that connection outside of class. So I took a hip hop class freshman year, and he would support me. He'd, you know, come to my performances, and he was just a very good guy. So if you get the opportunity to take the class, I recommend, or just meet up with him, and it's a great connection.
I haven't had the privilege of having a class with Professor Loins yet, but just from like talking to him on campus, I can attest he is a gem. And I'm so glad you had that experience, Mallory. So I can't pick between two classes that have been my favorite, so I'll talk about them both really quick. The first one I took my freshman year. It was actually one of like the optional courses that I had listed, so I never really expected to take it, which was Survey of Contemporary Art with Professor McCarthy. Such a gem, such a knowledgeable man. It was just the most engaging, fun class. It expanded my mind about just the way like I appreciate art and the way I exist in the world, which sounds like super deep. And you may be thinking, how do you get that from like an art history class? You get it. Like that's how good the professor is. And the other class was Comparative Political Economy with Professor Sicoli. He has to be one of the most intelligent people I have met like in my life, and he'll probably like be the standard. I took it last semester, so it was remote. We were 4 people in the class, so y'all can imagine how well we got to know each other and how closely we got to work. And that class in particular was really related to what I'm studying. So because I was really passionate and I had a lot of questions, he was able to work with me a lot to kind of adjust what we were seeing in class to make it fit my interests more. So it was a very personalized experience. And the fact that he really pushed me to think so critically about issues of political economy is something that I appreciate to this day because it's helped me so much this semester.
Yeah, and that's incredible. And one thing I'll say to our students that are watching, and also the panelists here, as a Rhodes graduate, those professors that you have, they remain your friends well after you graduate. One of the best feelings is that a lot of my professors are some of my best friends now, and they still check in with me and see how things are going, and they invite me to their house for dinner and things like that. So it is such a great community, and professors really do care, even past academics, for their students, and they just really want to get to know everyone. So I have a couple questions here about housing on campus. I know some of you, the pandemic really kind of, hit a lot of the housing in terms of being on campus and things like that. But I'll have a couple of you kind of just talk about what is living in a dorm like at Rhodes, and also the process of finding a roommate. Can you kind of talk about that a little bit?
Okay, so my my first year, I lived with all the baseball players, and so there were a few other kids in the dorm, but mostly just the guys in my recruiting class. So it was 10 of us, and so I actually had a third roommate because at Crossroads I met a guy named Victor. I got really close with him, and so I didn't know I was in the room with a baseball guy, so I put him down on my roommate sheet. That ended up being a baseball guy named Victor. So he lived in a triple, and that was probably one of the most fun and chaotic times of our lives. My roommate Gunnar, who he's still my best friend to this day, he brought a couch, and so we ended up moving the couch to the back corner, making bunk beds. So you had bunk beds, the couch, another bed. It's just a ton of stuff in the room. But living in the dorm just makes you so much more close to the people around you. Those become some of your closest friends. And it's hard because I think that you go in not knowing what you're going to get. But Rose does a really good job of matching up with somebody who has the same interests as you. So you get a survey form asking you how clean you are, what time you like to study, what time you like to go to sleep. And so you will have somebody who has similar interests as you, who do the same thing as you, so you won't be thrown off from your daily schedule. And so I definitely think living on campus, I still do live on campus. It's definitely been like a great time just being with my best friends, being close to everything, and being able to experience things after the school day is over. That's what college is all about. That when school bell rings and you're done for the day, your best friends are still right there with you. And you're still there for the rest of the night. You guys do homework together, you guys hang out together, you guys go eat together. That's what living on campus is all about.
So I assume that you guys have like a Facebook group chat, and that's where I know a lot of my friends found their freshman year roommates. They talk, and it's like they'd be like, "Oh, this person matches interests with me," and they get together and do that. I chose surprise, so I was like, you know what? I'll just let life throw a surprise at me. So I went about it the random way, and then during orientation, I don't remember the name it's called, where we travel like for a weekend during the summer. I met the person who was my roommate. We kind of vibed, and I was like, okay, sure, let's do it. We were not best friends, but we were very good about establishing boundaries. And that was so important because even though like we weren't super tight, and it wasn't what Kofi was saying, the feeling that at the end of the day you can get to your best friends, it wasn't that, but it definitely was. I can go to a place where she's there, but it still feels like it's my dorm. I can cool down. And that's the most important thing I would say. Have those conversations early on, be like as frank, as open, and as honest as possible, because that's going to save you a lot of problems later on.
I definitely agree with that. Setting boundaries is so important, even if you know the person going in, even if you've already talked to them and you decided together that you wanted to room together. Establishing boundaries is going to kind of, I don't want to say make or break your experience, but it's going to really affect how your dorm life is. Because like Issa was saying, you don't have to be best buddies with your roommate, and don't put that pressure on yourself to like force that friendship. If it happens, let it be organic. But with that being said, if you're not best buddies with your roommate, at least having those boundaries will have you guys on the same page and have just a general respect for each other and each other's spaces. And then I also want to say, in terms of just like dorm life in general, I know coming into college, you're probably like, "Ooh, the dorms, they're gross, like blah, blah, blah." Like, because that's what I was thinking. I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna be so uncomfortable." But after the first night or two, it feels like you're home. It really does. It doesn't feel like this foreign place that I'm not, familiar with. I can't go to sleep at night. Like, I feel like this is home now. If you're nervous about it being, a certain way, just when you get there, just do a little cleaning, do some wiping, Lysol, whatever. But make it your space, because at the end of the day, that's where you're gonna be most comfortable. That's where you're gonna have your safe space to go after a hard day at school or just anything. So make it your own, have fun with it. And yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us today on the panel, and just giving these prospective students some thoughts, kind of as they make their final decisions. I know they'll really appreciate it, and we as admission staff really appreciate having you guys as well. But thank you guys so much for being here tonight. But I will now pass it along to one of our other counselors that you heard from at the beginning, Allie Hamilton, and she'll give you guys some thoughts to end off the night, and some resources that you can look into once this program is finished. Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.
Thank you, Piyush. And thank you to the students. I always love getting to see you guys and hear about your responses. So I hope that you all heard some themes kind of emerge tonight. Certainly themes around connection, community, support, inclusivity. I feel like that was echoed from across faculty to staff to students. And we really do believe that to be authentic part of the Rhodes community. If you're still sort of deciding and you feel like you need some more help, we have a lot of resources for you to help get you there over these next couple of weeks as you're trying to make your decision. If tonight you feel like that was it, I know that Rhodes is my home and this is where I want to be, you can make your deposit tonight. All you have to do is go to your portal, reply to your offer of admission, and deposit there. But for those of you guys who are still sort of in the balance and trying to figure things out, I have a few resources for you. So first will be come for a visit. If you've not been to campus, or maybe you already have, you can come for an in-person visit. We are open. We are hosting students every day of the week. So you have options to do a guided tour, or you have options to do a self-guided tour. And you can do that self-guided sort of on your own timeline, any day of the week, where you're not sort of in contact with anybody. It's really up to you and sort of your level of comfort. In the chat, you'll see a link to where you can register for a visit. If in-person isn't kind of in the cards for you and you don't feel like you can travel at this time, we have virtual visit options. And again, those are multiple days of the week, so many options for you there. And you'll also, that same link will get you there to where you can register for a virtual visit option. You heard from some really wonderful, engaging students tonight, and we have many more of them across our campus. If you are interested in connecting with any of these amazing, wonderful students, you can go to Links Chat, and it's a really awesome tool where you can actually filter on different students that are there. Maybe you want to say, I'd like to talk to somebody in Atlanta who's also a neuroscience major, and you can sort of filter and find and connect with a student who meets your criteria. Again, in the chat, you can see a link there for a Links Chat where you'll connect with those students. We have, you heard mentioned tonight, a number of different affinity groups across our campus. They really are important pieces of our community and backbone of our community at Rhodes. You'll see on the screen here a selection of some of the affinity groups here at Rhodes. If you are interested in connecting with any of these specific groups, I know those students are more than willing and anxious to connect with you. So if you are interested in talking with them, you can reach out to diversity@rhodes.edu, email address that's listed there at the bottom of your screen. Let us know who or what group you'd like to connect with, and we will make sure to facilitate that connection. Lastly, I'll mention to continue to watch for other programs and events that we'll have throughout the spring and April, others that are connected to affinity groups or maybe to your region. But be on the lookout. We have many more opportunities for you to connect to us through programming. And then finally, if you have any questions at all, your admission counselors are here to help you with those things. And you can see a link again in the chat to connect with your admission counselor. By this point, you probably know our email and our text and phone numbers and all of that. And we're here for you to bother us, so please do. So hopefully through those options, you'll have ways to make sure you get your questions answered, ways to connect with us, and ensure that Rhodes really is the place for you to be next year. Thank you guys for joining us. We've loved hosting you, and we hope to be in touch in the future. Have a good night.